Hello and welcome to Don't Bury the Lead. We recap WWE SmackDown every Saturday night. My name's John Tadell. I'm joined by Dom Scarcella. Dom, go ahead and tell the people a little bit about yourself.
We are getting ever closer to War Games, to Survivor Series, and of course, we're getting more hints on the program about it. So, with that teaser out of the way, John, don't bury the lead. What's our top story from SmackDown for November 15th, 2024?
Dom, we don't ever bury the lead. And the lead is we get I'd almost say, rare women's match in the main event. We have Nia Jax versus Naomi, and Nia Jax goes over. A lot of schmaz here and a lot to unpack during the match. Thought it was a pretty good match. We also have a little bit of a segment at the very, very end before SmackDown goes off where Roman Reigns is trying to reach out to Paul Heyman, but I would say the lead is really the match because that takes up most of the main event.
Mm-hmm.
Dom, what you think of this main event title match with Nia Jax and Naomi, and Nia Jax going over?
Nia Jax does retain, as you said. This was a fun match, and they let him go a while. This was close to 15 minutes, I think.
Mm-hmm.
From what I could tell here, close to 15 minutes. Just one commercial or so in the middle there. Lots of action. They're also setting up what looks like women's war games. So they're going to have a women's war games match. So, like you said, a lot of extracurricular stuff. Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez were here. They attacked Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill backstage. They had previously mentioned Naomi was allied with the tag champs and with Io Sky, so that there were kind of four of them that showed up together on Raw.
Mm-hmm.
And strangely enough, just a little bit after their meeting in Saudi Arabia, it looks like Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, Tiffany, Stratton, and Nia Jax are all going to be together.
Yeah, they just wrestled.
Right, and they just wrestled each other. They cost each other a title shot. Some of them did, and they're going to be a War Games heel faction because both of the women's singles title holders at the moment are heels.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like Candice LeRae may be joining them, which means there's one more person on the women's side to add. I don't think it'll be Bayley because they teased that she's not on the same page as Naomi with the alliance here. So they're bringing in a lot of different people. That's where they're going storyline wise. As far as the match itself, it was just a lot of fun. Eventually, the finish happens. Bayley's out there cheering on Naomi. Naomi climbs to the top turnbuckle for some sort of offensive move on Nia. Candice LeRae runs down, throws Bayley into the ring post, which kind of distracts and knocks Naomi off balance. That allows Nia to recover, climb the ropes, and hit a second turnbuckle Samoan drop. And then, as if she needed to, she also hits an Annihilator. It's like overkill with the finishers here, and gets the pinfall. Plenty of other action during the match. John, what do you like from it? Do you like it? Was it a good match to you? Was it worthy of the main event spot? Was the schmaz too much? Take us through it as a viewer.
I liked it a lot. They kept it. Well, I should say, for some reason, it doesn't happen nearly enough. But they kept it simple in the beginning, where you knew who the heel was, you knew who the face was. Nia Jax is great in her role. We've talked extensively, and I'll continue to talk about how much she's improved.
Yes.
I love she has like a front headlock and ragdolls Naomi. So she's kind of ragdolling her all over the place, making her look like a big powerhouse. With the big afro, you get a little bit of like the Andre the Giant vibes. Obviously not as big, but the crazy afro bouncing all over the place.
Yes. Good callback there. I like that.
Yeah. I mean, nobody's going to be as great as Andre, but anything you could take from Andre the Giant, you definitely do take it. Selling to the crowd, Nia Jax started to do this a little bit, put her arms up, get some cheap heat, which we love cheap heat here at Don't Bury the Lead.
Absolutely, and not just because it's a segment of our show.
Yeah. Hello there. Welcome, Tama Tonga. Wow, you were in the show tonight, and now you're on Don't Bury the
wow.
Lead.
We will be talking about you later, Tama. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right.
Very cool.
Very good. The chat is open. Subscribe at the YouTube channel, wherever it is you're watching us live. Jump into the live chat if you're watching us live. Leave us a comment if you're watching us on the recording in the archive at YouTube. But yeah, this will be fun. We've got chatters already.
Yeah. So some pretty good stuff from the match. One thing I'll call out that I really wanted to call out was they build the match up. They do some wrestling in the beginning, and it's slow paced. So eventually we get to a point when Naomi does a high spot from the top rope to the outside, which is usually like the commercial break spot. But the crowd pops for it, and it's awesome because they kept it slow in the beginning. Then they built to that, and then she hits the big move. So that's like the big difference I noticed from this match and what you see typically. Like, if they don't have enough time, or I don't even really know why, they'll go and they don't build to the high spot. They just hit it right away, and then they blow it. So
that was also the high spot where having them both down on the outside, not going to commercial, at least gave you a reason why both of them would be down on the outside and why they would show the feed from backstage where Liv and Raquel are ambushing Bianca and Jade.
I do have to admit that was really random. When they showed that and it had nothing to do with the match, and then it never had anything to do with the match, and I was like, I hit rewind and I rewatched it, and I was like, why was that there? And I was like, did they just leave that segment out? They needed to jam it in at some point.
It's War Games. Yep, they're still building War Games. They got to hustle. It's 2 weeks away as we're recording this on November 16th. Live streaming on the 16th. So it's only 2 weeks away. They got 2 Raws and basically 1 SmackDown, because the night before SmackDown, everything's already going to be set. So they got to move quickly. It looks like Candice LeRae might be the 5th woman on Nia Jax's and Liv Morgan's team, and they got to find a 5th for the babyface team. And I'm thinking if her eye socket has healed, it's got to be Rhea Ripley.
Oh, yeah, but that's a big if, right?
Like, if her eye socket's healed and she's going to be cleared by November 30th. Then
I don't even know how long that injury lasts. I only know like Joel Embiid's gotten it, and that's always it always kind of lingers a little bit.
He has to wear the clear plexiglass mask just to make sure that he doesn't take another elbow there. Yeah. Yes, I wonder what they would do with Rhea Ripley. Is she going to get the plexiglass mask that she can then use as a weapon?
That would be really
cool. Now
she's
headbutting people with plexiglass.
She might as well lean into the injury, right?
Right, yeah. Well, wear an iron mask, like Iron Man or something, a suit of armor.
Yeah. The only other thing I wanted to call out for the match is they had an awesome high spot.
Okay.
Basically, it's a great corner spot.
Yes.
Where there is an attempted superplex, and it looks like it's going to be the superplex, but they hip over and gets a pinfall. I'm trying to think of what happened specifically. I don't have it in my notes.
Yeah. This was after some of the outside interference started. Nia hit a leg drop to the back of Naomi's neck. Naomi recovered as Nia was climbing the turnbuckles, and his huge step up enziguri. Like, Naomi's got the flexibility. We'll give her that. Right, huge step up enziguri there. The kick to the side of the head. They fought on the turnbuckle. It looked like Nia was going to scoop powerbomb her.
Yeah, that was it.
And instead, Naomi held on and turned it into some sort of flip slam of her own. It wasn't really a hip toss, but it was something where Naomi almost small packaged her on the way down so she wouldn't let Nia release on the slam.
Yeah.
And wound up slamming Nia as they both rolled over. And
Whatever
then
it was rad. It was
it
really,
was
really
awesome.
cool.
I haven't
Yeah.
seen it before. Naomi got a 2.5 count out of it. It was really cool. Naomi a little bit later hit a split leg moonsault for another 2.5. So, Naomi had her this closest,
And the two and
at
a
least a
half,
couple times.
the crowd was doing the one, like it
Yes.
felt like she could have won it actually.
Yep.
I was like,
it felt like it could. If it was a title switch, nobody would have been like, "Oh, that didn't make any sense."
yeah, it was like, oh wow, she's got a shot because there's like a main event. They
Yep.
might do it. There's still going to be that would even add more intrigue to the Money in the Bank situation. Who knows?
Yep.
But
And it's also because they've done a great job of keeping Nia strong, but also showing that she can be vulnerable if she's ganged up on.
yeah,
Naomi and Bailey combo pinned her in that tag team match. So 2-on-1. It was effectively 3-on-1 in Saudi Arabia at Crown Jewel, where Liv Morgan was able to beat her after all the interference. And in this one as well, there was extra interference. At the moment, Bailey had turned the tide and given the advantage to Naomi. So they've done a good job of showing that if there's enough shenanigans, Nia will get pinned.
mm-hmm. And I just want to point this out. We did see OTC in the main event.
Oh my
too.
goodness. Tama Tonga, are you turning on Solo Sikoa here?
This
With
is
the OTC comment.
This is gonna be
We've got some intrigue here at Don't Bury the Lead. Well, do you want to jump to that next? Because that was something they had done for a couple of segments. The end of the show with Roman Reigns trying to call the wise man and getting the recorded message that the number he's reached is not in service. That was not out of nowhere. There was earlier in the night, Jay and Jimmy and even Sammy had been saying, "Are you going to call him? Why don't you give him a call?" And they didn't say who it was. So they made us wait for the end of the night when Roman called the wise man. So maybe you want to jump right into there. Thank to Tama Tonga for our segue here. Do you want to jump into the men's war game build here?
Yeah, let's do it. That's exactly it. They called the wise man, and of course that gets a big pop because we haven't seen Heyman in months, and he was a staple of SmackDown.
Yep.
I mean, he's been on like every episode, so
wherever they need him.
Yeah, whatever segment he needs to be on. I think he's been doing Raw and SmackDown, really. But
he had been for a while, yeah.
Some well-deserved time off, and yeah, Roman Reigns tries to call the wise man, and there's no one to pick up.
Yep, the number's been the number is not in service. New phone, who dis? So we'll have to see what happens on Raw and SmackDown in the coming week to see what's up with the wise man and who's the fifth person that Roman Reigns and Jimmy J and Sammy might be able to call, because we saw the fifth man for Bloodline 2.0 tonight. It was Bronson Reed. This was the big segment in the middle of the show, switching from what is here in Jersey, the 8 o'clock hour, to the 9 o'clock hour. Jimmy J and Sammy have no luck finding a fifth member. LA Knight turns them down. I don't know who else they may have asked backstage. As they're in the dressing room sulking about it, Solo Sikoa's music hits, and they're watching the monitor. Solo Sikoa, Tama Tonga, Tongaloa, and Jacob Fatu go to the ring. And just as he's asking, "Acknowledge me," to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and of course they boo like crazy, Roman Reigns' music hits, and the Bloodline 1.0 marches to the ring. Big brawl. Eventually, it's Bronson Reed who ambushes Roman from the crowd side, and now Bloodline 2.0 owns the ring. Roman tries for a comeback while the rest of his allies are down, but at the end of it, it's Solo with a Samoan spike, top turn moonsault by Jacob Fatu, tsunami splash off the top rope by Bronson Reed. They've got their fifth member.
Bronson Reed is the fifth man.
Yes.
And
he's a good one. He's a big, they've been playing him up on Raw that he's dangerous, which fits the mold of Bloodline 2.0. These guys are dangerous. They were too dangerous for Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns. That's why they didn't call the Tongas. It's why they didn't call Jacob Fatu. They're too dangerous.
Yeah.
They're unpredictable.
And Bronson Reed's been really good. He's had like great stuff with Seth Rollins.
Yes.
He might have had the best match of the last pay-per-view, or with Seth Rollins and Bronson Reed. That was
Yeah,
really
right.
good. Or maybe the second best, because
It was a good one.
Cody and Gunther were
Yeah.
fantastic, but they were very good. And it's good they found something to do with Bronson Reed.
Mhm.
I did not see that coming. I assumed it was going to be some other random family member or The Rock. That's who I was really thinking it would be.
I wonder if he gets the call from Roman.
If he gets the call from Roman, that team's so stacked. You know what I mean?
It
With
is
The Rock.
stacked, which is why The Rock will be the last man into the War Games and will eventually turn on Roman.
Yeah, I feels like that's coming, right?
Because if they want the triple threat at WrestleMania, or they just want to do Roman Rock at WrestleMania, there's got to be a reason for one of them to be heel, and Roman's too over as a babyface at this point,
Hmm.
and The Rock still wants to do the final boss thing, which is kind of heelish.
Yeah.
Now, what they were teasing, and you alluded to it, is Bronson Reed just got out of a long program with Seth Rollins. So they were teasing that, will Roman Reigns break down and reunite with his old Shield mate Seth Rollins? And Seth on Raw apparently was saying, no, I'm not doing that. I don't want anything to do with Roman, and I don't want anything to do with the Roman wannabe either, which is what he called Solo Sikoa. So Seth Rollins doesn't want anything to do with it. But does Bronson Reed being on Bloodline 2.0 change Seth Rollins' mind? Which would also be a very stacked Bloodline 1.0. If Seth Rollins is there.
Yeah.
So there's some possibilities here. What do you like or not like about this big schmaz here with 9 men, 4-on-4, then turning into 5-on-4?
I think it was good. We got Bronson Reed. We got an answer. And, they just have another brawl between Bloodline 2.0, setting everything up for
Mhm.
the future show here.
I do like that they're still teasing that Sammy and Roman have to earn each other's trust. Sammy was about to get spiked by Solo Sikoa when Roman recovered from his days and just speared the heck out of Solo. And Sammy and Roman, they acknowledge each other in the ring, like when they both realize what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Like Sammy acknowledges Roman there, then hit his somersault dive onto the floor. That left Roman and Jacob in the ring alone when Bronson Reed ambushed him from the crowd side. Now, Roman still got some shots in here. Roman took out one of the Tongas on the outside, then got back into the ring and starts Superman punching everybody. He hit the other Tonga. He hit Reed. He hit Jacob Fatu. But it was just too much the numbers game. That's when Solo grabbed him from behind and very quickly spiked him, leading to the end. But it was a good thing. Roman looked strong, but not against 5 guys. 5-on, 4-on-1, 5-on-1. Roman couldn't hold them all off. But Roman did look strong again for a while here. So I think it's coming together. I think women's war games and men's war games are they are slowly taking shape. There's still a 5th member for each of the babyface teams to work out. But I think in the second hour of SmackDown, we got plenty of both women's War Games competitors and men's War Games competitors from both SmackDown and Raw on this special edition of SmackDown.
Mm-hmm. What let's think here. How far away is War Games?
2 weeks.
2 weeks? Yeah,
2 weeks
so
from tonight.
they
There's
got to
one
do something by
SmackDown and
next
2
week.
Raws. Yep, there's one SmackDown and 2 Raws left for them to get this together.
Yeah.
Because the SmackDown the night before, they can't be waiting. They have to have it sealed.
They can't have. We still don't know. They
I
gotta
don't know
print.
what's going to happen tomorrow. We've made the posters and everything, but I don't know. We made all
They
the
have-
graphics for the computer.
They have. Yeah, they have to at least print the T-shirts at the show, right?
Right. Like they need to, like, there's somebody be there in the arena screen printing T-shirts because they just announced it the night before. Now, they're going to be finished by Raw on, what is that, 25th.
Or I guess last year the Randy Orton was the surprise person, right? They had a surprise guy, and then it was CM Punk.
Well, CM Punk was not involved in the War Games match.
Yeah, but like the way they set it up was uh Randy Orton was the surprise
He was
person.
the last man in, right?
Yeah. So um they
Makes
could
sense. Make the baby faces scramble to fill out their teams.
Mhm.
Like the heels are a well-oiled machine. It's the baby faces that have to scramble and find somebody because apparently baby faces don't have friends, but heels have friends.
Mhm.
It's that wrestling logic again.
Right.
Yeah. That's all I got for the War Games teasers and the build for both the men's and women's matches here, as shown to us very thoroughly on this episode of SmackDown. Where to next, my friend?
Yeah, so um we kind of jumped the gun here for the follow, but I think it's a good idea to lay everything out because we had so many changes with the War Game stuff. Um, we had a couple different matches here. Let's see. Let's see. Maybe we can do Bailey versus Candice LeRae.
Mm-hmm.
That's the opener. Oh, Candice LeRae and BFAB in a triple threat match.
Yes.
And I'm thinking to myself, I don't think I've ever seen BFAB wrestle, or at least in
Been a
something that was.
while.
It's been a while. I haven't seen her because they played her music. I had no idea what that was. I
Mm-hmm.
saw her come down. I'm like, BFAB. Oh, okay.
Yeah, maybe in a mixed tag or something, but not in a women's only match. And this is for the women's U.S. Championship tournament opening round triple threat match.
Yeah, and Bailey ends up winning against Candice
Yep.
LeRae and BFAB, which is pretty which makes sense. But I thought it was a good matchup.
I did too.
What did you think of this one, Dom?
I liked that early on. It seemed like they were kind of feeling each other out, which makes sense because BFAB has not wrestled a lot, but she winds up being involved in a lot of the action.
Oh yeah,
She gets rolled up by Bailey. She kicks Candice LeRae off the ring apron, then goes to attack Bailey, but Bailey surprises, rolls her up, and stacks her for the pinfall. This match goes about in the 10-minute range there, just right around 10 minutes, including one commercial break in there. But I thought everybody looked pretty good. BFAB wound up hitting a powerbomb on Bailey, who was trying to suplex Candice LeRae off the top. And it was a neat move with all three of them because as BFAB is power bombing Bailey, Bailey's still holding on to Candice LeRae, but not for a suplex. Candice LeRae holds on and winds up cross bodying her and almost pinning her. But BFAB, as she rolls, notices it and breaks it up. So that was a neat sequence involving all three wrestlers.
that was the best sequence of the match for sure.
Right, yeah, and there was another
it.
one where they had all three of them involved as well. Candice LeRae hit a chest cracker on Bailey, and as she landed, it was a senton on BFAB. She wound up covering each of them in succession, but each of them kicked out. So that was Candice LeRae's first big opportunity for pinfall, and then the second one you talked about. Any other spots you liked? Just the vibe of the match overall? You've got Candice LeRae, who's very small, Bailey, who's kind of a solid wrestler, thick lower body, so she looks like an athlete. BFAB, who's muscular and taller, as well. But what did you think of the chemistry here, and how the match played out?
Well, taller than Candice LeRae, who might be under 5 foot.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, so I think I really like that spot, the corner spot, and what's cool about it is I've seen that spot a million times in WWE, like when I was watching years ago, where the person gets in the triple threat gets the power bomb, and then they hit the power bomb and the suplex. The two guys are kind of knocked out or hit silly. But they did a variation on it, which I love. Like do the predictable spot and then do the variation where Candice LeRae hips over. And gets near fall on Bailey. I thought also BFAB looked pretty good. I've never really seen her wrestle, and I can't even. I don't even know I don't know anything about her. I couldn't even I had no frame of reference if she was good or bad.
Yeah, right.
It's funny if BFAB if Jade Cargill wrestled like BFAB, they'd be like, "Wow, she's amazing." Like that's like the baseline right now for some of the women's division. It's so good that BFAB, who I've never seen, looked pretty sharp.
Right? Yeah,
Hmm.
she hit at one point a neck breaker into a face buster on Bailey for a 2 count, which I haven't seen people do that kind of a move before, where it looks like you're going to do the neck breaker, but instead you spin out of it and turn it into a face plant.
Whoever is down in NXT that trains the women, they're not getting paid enough money
Right? They're
because
doing a great job.
they keep coming up, and the women work different than the men, which is right.
Hmm.
They're different. It's different sex. Like the
Hmm.
men are bigger and stronger and less flexible.
Yep.
But the women really have found a style for them that really works, and
Hmm.
whoever they bring from NXT up has been good. And it's not like they're just relying on the indies. I think that a lot of the people are just straight NXT and up. So it's not
Yeah,
like
they've got a good feeder program now. The WWE is developing good in ring performers.
and whenever I see the women come up, there's not a disappointment. Men, not necessarily the case, but women, yes. You know? So
Yeah,
but anyways,
good for everybody there. Interesting. It looks like it's just the women's U.S. Championship that they're bringing in as a secondary belt. I haven't heard that they're going to do a women's intercontinental championship. If they are, then it's going to get really crowded, and they're going to need all of these top women stars if they're going to have 4 singles belts. But
I
at this
don't
point,
think
go
they
ahead.
need I am a big fan of not having less belts, but I
Yeah,
don't
right.
I don't think the US title is too much. I think it actually kind of makes sense
Yep.
for the women just cuz they're stacked.
Yep. And they only have one set of tag team belts for the women, which is why at the moment Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill are doing Raw and SmackDown.
Mhm. There really should
So,
only be one tag. They don't do
right,
enough tag stuff anyway.
that I'm with you. I think they found the sweet spot is that they have enough talent they can promote and get on TV when they need to. So maybe this one mid-level belt or B-level belt is really all they need to round it out. So Bailey, a good person to advance, because right away it tells you that, okay, well, if Bailey's advancing, then they're really going to put some prestige into the U.S. Championship tournament.
And I like the tournament stuff. It's good for us for like SmackDown viewers to have some interest in some of the shows. They're not just building to. It's not just like a storyline build to the pay-per-view, which at times I could be like, yeah, I could have just skipped this.
Yeah.
It's
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 very obvious. Belts are a ready-made angle.
yeah,
Why are these people fighting? Well, because they're all going after the title.
right.
There it is. There's your
100%.
instant animosity. That's
Mhm.
why they have heat. They're all fighting for this new title. There you go. And as SmackDown viewers, it didn't matter that we weren't told about this last week. What's the angle with it? You know the angle. Triple threat to advance in the tournament for the new title. Simple. We
Mhm.
get it.
Um, speaking of U.S. titles, maybe we can move now to L.A. Knight.
Yeah.
LA Knight has a promo
Yeah.
section, yeah, a section of the show is dedicated to an LA Knight promo, which are always great.
Hmm.
And then LA Knight eventually faces Berto after his Berto and his crew come down.
Yep. Open
Uh,
challenge. So LA Knight, he's the fighting champion. He just issues an open challenge. Who wants it?
yeah. During the yeah, can't help it. I'm talking about LA Knight.
Yeah.
LA Knight gets a little cheap heat here from the crowd as he calls out Logan Paul for never defending the title. And then he's like, it's okay. You can boo Logan Paul. Boo. He's, so Logan Paul catches a stray. He's not even there.
Yep.
He's getting the business from LA Knight. And
It's good for him that they keep mentioning his name and they remember him, right?
yeah, and I liked the cheap heat from is it Alberto or who is it? Oh God, I've been
Well,
blanking his name.
Santos Escobar came down
Escobar
with
and
Angel and Humberto behind them, and Electra Lopez.
yeah, Santos Escobar had some good cheap heat.
Yep.
Uh, you know, ragging on the Milwaukee crowd, calling them Milwaukeeans, and trashing the team. And then LA Knight had some good cheap heat,
Sure.
uplifting the team, talking about Gianna scoring 59 points. I was like,
Sure.
I love cheap heat. Go for it.
Right. And the crowd loves it too. Like they're in the building.
Yes, they're in the
They're
building.
in the building where the Bucks play. So they're perfect.
Right.
Now, I thought it was interesting how they chose Umberto. As they're going back and forth on the promo, LA Knight is saying, they're telling Santos Escobar, I've already beaten you, but this guy here over your shoulder is, staring a hole in me here. Maybe he wants to step up. And, Umberto delivers the cheap shot before LA Knight even gets his gear off. And they start the match, I guess, during the commercial, because by the time we come back from commercial, they're already fighting. LA Knight wins this one. He does. Berto lifts LA Knight onto the top turnbuckle, but as he climbs himself, LA Knight punches and then headbutts him to the mat, hits the top turn elbow where he springs up from the second to the top turnbuckle. And then as Umberto stumbles up, BFT for the pinfall. Not a lot of TV time for the match, but it looked like a lot of action. And I like what LA Knight is doing here with the open challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're not just bringing out the top guy who you think, all right, it's going to be Andrade again or Carmelo Hayes. This was awesome. This reminded me of the night before the Bash in Berlin, the Berlin Brawl, when he did the open challenge and Ludwig Kaiser came out. LA Knight is the opposite, is the other side of the coin to what we used to praise Ricochet for.
Yeah.
Ricochet used to lose, but he would do so without looking weak, and he would make the other guy look really strong. LA Knight wins, but he's doing so in a way that's giving these bottom to mid-card guys, really bottom card guys, a chance to be in the spotlight for a little bit and look good. Kaiser looked great in Berlin. Umberto looked really good tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I thought he looked like he belonged in that match. He looked great. So LA Knight has a way of doing this where he's going to win the match, but he does it without looking weak and also giving the other guy a chance to look strong. Like, this is a really good skill. And maybe it's because Shawn Ricker's been around for almost 20 years on the indies, in Impact, in the NWA, wherever, before he finally got his shot at the WWE as LA Knight. But he's good at working with guys who haven't been in the spotlight before.
It's funny. That's a perfect description. He's a reverse Ricochet, where he is winning all the time, but makes guys look great rather than losing and making himself look protected and strong.
Right? Yeah, he's not burying guys.
He's not
He's
just out
doing
there.
the opposite. He's fighting guys that he should beat easily, but he's letting them look strong without making himself look weak.
Yeah,
that's not easy to do.
No, it's not. And you see it sometimes you see this just become like squash matches, basically.
Yep.
And even though it has a time frame of a squash, they had enough action in there where Berto looked good and, hey, get some TV time.
If they went the whole commercial before we got back to coverage on USA there, they probably got about an 8-minute match out of this.
Mm-hmm.
So they had pretty good time here. I mean, Umberto, let's see here. At some point, LA Knight did his leap up to the top turnbuckle for the superplex. Berto caught it, shoved him off to the mat, and then hit a really good-looking top turn missile drop kick. Got a 2 count out of it. Berto kicked out of a DDT at 2. He did Berto does an O'Connor roll for a 2 count. And as LA Knight kicks out, Berto hit the ropes, rebounded with a kick to the face for another cover and a 2 count. So he looked pretty good. Now, LA Knight looked good as well. Berto comes off the top turnbuckle for a moonsault. LA Knight gets the big boot up. Berto catches it perfectly, lands face first on the boot, walks right into a pop-up power slam. But LA Knight off the ropes himself misses the leaping elbow, so Berto rolled out of the way. He wasn't just taking the 5 moves of doom there. And I wrote in my notes after that, especially and also after the pinfall, I wrote Berto looked good despite loss.
Yeah.
Like I saw some good action, some good moves, good offense, agility, timing, ability to sell, but also ability to, take your move when it's yours as well, when it's
Mhm.
your turn to hit the spot. I like it. I like it. Kudos to LA Knight.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we also saw uh, interference there during this match too. The very, 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 very end. We see
Yes.
what I wrote down as Zombie Nakamura. Because Shinsei Nakamura returns and jumps into the ring and attacks LA Knight, and
Yep.
he's got all this zombie makeup on. So I'm like, I just called him Zombie Nakamura.
There you
Return.
go. He wore the black trench coat. It looked like the Undertaker.
He did. He's a goofy. He's a. I shouldn't call him goofy. He's always got like unique characters,
Mm-hmm.
especially in the WWE. He kind of was like a Michael Jackson impersonator almost for a while there, like when he first came into
Okay.
WWE. Like he had the red leather on and stuff like that, and would like
Okay.
dance around like this and do all this stuff. So he's always out there.
That
So
reeks of Vince McMahon.
honestly, he came into the WWE doing that stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, Vince. I apologize.
No, it probably was more that Vince loved it and brought him in as a result. It's like,
Right.
oh yeah, is he oh my god, a minority dancing?
Bring in
Ooh.
Japanese Michael Jackson.
Yeah, brother. Oh, that's good shit, right? um,
Yeah, this will be fun. Shinsuke Nakamura had a good program with Seth Rollins when they brought back the World Heavyweight Championship. You mentioned when we got to see them on a premium live event that you enjoy Shinsuke's style, that Japanese strong style, because it's different
yeah.
than a lot of the high flyer flippy stuff. And especially in that match, it made Seth Rollins maybe wrestle a different kind of match than just the doing the dives all over the place style. It brought out more of Seth Rollins' repertoire. What do you expect from Shinsuke Nakamura versus LA Knight? This is going to be a good test for LA Knight, right?
Yeah, it's crazy Nakamura is still doing it. He's 44 years old.
Oh, all right, he's AJ Styles' age there.
Yeah, he's still
Getting
doing
close.
it. And yeah, I mean, he took some time off. He came back. He's got a new character. Give him a shot. See what he can do. LA Knight is very, very competent in the ring, and it'll be believable because LA Knight's he's so big. Like it's always one thing that's underrated about LA Knight is he's just a huge dude, right?
He's
So
stocky.
yeah,
He's not tall, but he's stocky. He's in that. He's probably in that 240-pound range, if I remember what they bill him as. He's a stocky guy. Yeah.
mhm. So I think
Thighs, the shoulders, the chest. He works out, bro.
he definitely does. He looks like he's definitely at least in the gym 4 days a week doing the strength stuff.
Yep.
Staying on
And
top of
the
that whole
pop
thing.
up tilt the world power bomb is not easy.
Right.
That takes strength and agility at the same time to do. And we've seen him do it to a bigger guy like Roman Reigns.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. LA Knight he's no joke.
So, we talked a lot about LA Knight and Berto. Any match you want to go to from here?
One more match, tag team championships. Match winds up getting thrown out. It's the Motor City Machine Guns, the champions, Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin, versus the number one contenders, the Street Profits, Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins, with B-Fab in their corner. This match goes
Working overtime.
What was it?
B-Fab working overtime.
Right, she's in at least 3 segments because she was also in a backstage one as well.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, she's earning her paycheck for this week.
Mm-hmm.
She's out there again. This match goes about 10 minutes before Tommaso Ciampa runs in and just gets the match thrown out by beating up everybody. He's annoyed that he and Johnny Gargano DIY did not regain the tag team titles, and he's just beating up everybody. Gets the match thrown out. Johnny Gargano comes down to try and calm him down. Ciampa winds up shoving Gargano and storming out of the ring. So Now they're teasing that there's going to be a breakup between Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, which probably thrills Dave Meltzer, who gave very high star ratings to their NXT matchups when they were feuding one-on-one. Right?
Yeah.
So if they're building to Ciampa versus Gargano on the main roster now instead of NXT, that's going to be something. What about this match though? Before it got thrown out, I thought this was a pretty good match.
Yeah, I like the Street Profits. At one point, Angelo Dawkins hits a shoulder charge and knocks one of the motor gun. I guess what are they called? The guns, we'll call them. One of the guns.
It was Alex Shelley over the announce table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That move, that shoulder charge was wild because he got him so far up,
Yep.
and it looked like he went to like kind of lean back and hit the table, but he like overshot the table.
Yeah.
And got it. He almost hit Corey Graves. You can see in the replay, Graves just gets out of the way.
Yes. Shelley almost misses the table.
Yeah, he almost goes over that
Yeah.
and crams in that awkward barricade table little crevice.
That could have been a really rough spot because when you get the chairs back there, and the chairs by themselves are awkward because they're not the folding chairs. But also, if they hit up against the barricade, there's no place for those to go either. Like we saw Sami Zayn get hurt on those when Bronson Reed basically javelin threw him into the timekeepers area on the Premium Live event into it was either a Raw or a Premium Live event into one of those big lounge chairs with the arms against the barricade. They don't move. So yeah, huge move there. Dawkins shoulder blocking Alex Shelley. What other stuff did you like from this match? But before Tommaso Ciampa ruined it.
I didn't have too many notes because it moved pretty quickly. But yeah, what do you think of the guns so far? The Motor City Machine Guns.
I like them. They're the kind of guys that if they were singles competitors, you'd be like they're a little too small. But because they're a tag team and they're so in sync with each other, you're like, okay, it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Two guys that are really in sync with each other and quick and sharp and know the martial arts. Yeah, they can take on bigger guys.
Yeah, they do a lot of
believable.
And they do a good job putting them over on the announce table, talking about their history.
Your favorite tag team's favorite
tag team. Yeah. Yeah, they do a good
Corey
job.
Graves special there.
Yeah, Corey Graves, he has done a good job setting the table for why are these people champions? Who are they?
Yep.
They've been allowed a little bit more freedom to talk about what they actually did, and that people can have success in other companies.
Yes.
Although I did notice they said Bobby Lashley is left to go somewhere else, but they didn't. They don't mention AEW. They will mention anybody else, but not AEW.
Yes, the Street Profits. They got together with somebody who left to go somewhere else.
Period.
Yeah, if you don't know what they're talking about, you don't know what they're talking about. But if you know what they're talking about, then you get it. Yeah, it was Bobby Lashley and AEW.
Yeah.
Other things from the match. An example of the double teaming that the Guns do. Missile drop kick into a flatliner onto Montez Ford, but he kicked out at 2. Good looking move there. They also take moves pretty well. Dawkins tossed Sabin onto Ford for a belly to back suplex there, but Sabin kicked out. So the Street Profits were setting up another double team when Tommaso Ciampa hit the ring and ambushed them. There's a lot of good teams all of a sudden in the WWE, at least on the SmackDown side, since they brought in the Motor City Machine Guns, but then brought in DIY within the last year. Plus, you've got the Street Profits, who were going to be good even without that other guy who went to that other place.
Right.
So there's a few really good teams. Pretty Deadly, Grayson Waller and Austin Theory. They're not terrible.
Pretty Deadly is our team. They're a Don't Bury the Lead team.
Right, yeah. I mean, they do what they have to do. They're a little bit of the comedy gimmick, but they sell. They can do. They get their gimmick. They're 100% behind their gimmick.
Yeah, listen.
They can go in the ring.
Come at
So
us in the
I think
comments, but this is a yes boy show, okay?
yes, we are. L.A. Knight, yes boy. That's
right. Um,
imagine that for a stable. There you go.
I know if we were booking it, that'd be
If we were booking it, there would be a team, yeah boy.
Anything we else want to talk about the opener? We had Cody Rhodes. Do you want to go over that?
Sure, Cody Rhodes is in the ring. He calls out Kevin Owens, but it's Nick Aldis who shows up instead. Said that Kevin Owens can't be here until his situation is resolved internally. And Cody wants to handle it in the ring. He doesn't think this is an HR matter. Like, why are you sending him to human resources? Really? It's like, we handle things in the ring. And he walks out saying, the ball is in Nick Aldis's court. And I think they gave us a teaser that is this going to be the main event of Saturday night's main event in December?
Oh.
Are we getting Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens for that December 14th card in Nassau, Long Island there?
Really? Again? I feel
Maybe that is it. Cody. Well, we only saw him wrestle once when they kind of talked Kevin Owens into taking the title shot that he did not think he deserved.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Now, Mr. Kevin is right versus Cody Rhodes. Are we going to get that at Saturday night's main event? If so, it gives Cody something to do because you have to keep Cody in people's minds and have something on tap because he's not involved in War Games.
That's true. Yeah. Good question. We'll have to see where that goes.
Yeah, I would like to see Cody versus Kevin Owens one more time.
Yeah, their initial match was pretty good, and you can actually see Kevin actually be a proper heel because they were both faces, so there wasn't that dynamic between the heel and the face. Anything else from this show, Dom?
I don't think I have anything else from this card. It was a fun show here, 2 weeks out from Survivor Series. Is it drive time? That was quite a follow there. Is it drive time yet?
Dom.
It is. It is the thumb drive. This is when you and I are going to distill this show into a simple thumbs up or a thumbs down. There are no ties. There are also no star ratings, no number grades, no letter grades. You are taking this course. Pass, fail.
Dom, we're not Dave Meltzer. No. Even though we mentioned Dave Meltzer earlier, he of course loves the obscure NXT match. We don't give 7 stars to some obscure NXT match. We don't give 7 stars in the Tokyo Dome. We don't give 2 stars to Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant at WrestleMania. Literally, that's what he did. Unbelievable. No. We don't do star ratings. We give a simple thumbs up or a thumbs down. We either say this show was good or this show was bad. So, Dom, are you ready?
I am ready. I'm using my left hand because I've got a Band-Aid on my right hand.
Okay, we'll go the opposite direction this week.
Well, it's still up or down, so we're okay.
You'll get the point, folks.
Yes.
3, 2, 1. Oh, 2 thumbs up. Dom, why did you give this show a thumbs up?
LA Knight again elevating someone from the bottom card and perhaps getting into a program with Shinsuke Nakamura. And I thought on both the men's and the women's side, they did a good job in hurry up mode building for Survivor Series. And they did it not at the expense of the in-ring action.
Yeah. So I give this a thumbs up as I gave last week's show a thumbs down, which I don't like to give out, but I hated last week's show. This was a huge improvement for me. Lots of good wrestling. Excellent main event between Nia Jax and Naomi. I thought it was really good. And I do love any show where I get LA Knight shooting a promo. Anytime he gets on the mic, he's so electric. It's always a lot of fun. So he's just a fun wrestler to have in the middle of the show.
Yep.
Kudos to Berto for going out there, wrestling a match. You don't see him get a lot of airtime. And I also want to give a shout out to BFAB who was buried with that terrible gimmick and crew before. Um, oh man,
Yes.
what was I'm oh man, I'm blanking on the name of
We're blanking on the Hit Row.
Hit Row. She was in Hit Row. It looked like she was basically on her way out of the company because you know it was not it was not working at all.
No.
And to see her kind of hang around, hang with the Street Profits, and she had her chance last night to shine. And I think she put on a pretty good performance, and she looked very serviceable in her role. So thumbs up to the show. Thumbs up to B Fab for sticking it out and performing in a spot where she had to perform.
Yeah. Yeah, a great call out there. I like when people get a chance and do well with the opportunity.
Totally. It's to flip the script like that, the way I think she has from being of the very joke job or horrible team being the valet. Like it's not looking good, and then to eventually move into this is great. So,
Is
speaking
it
of,
warm in here? It's definitely cheap in here.
oh yeah,
Is it also warm in here?
it's warming up. I'm in the upstairs. The oversized radiator in my office is blaring, so it's getting hot. And
Alrighty.
yeah, this thing's like 100 years old, so you know it's cheap too.
Yeah, speaking of perhaps overinflated valets, uh, last night after SmackDown, and this is perhaps the bonus of us live streaming the day after. Jake Paul, brother of Logan Paul, versus Mike Tyson on Netflix. Huge card, huge payday. And afterwards, there's Logan Paul in the ring with Jake Paul, his brother. At some point, this is from the X account of Ariel Helwani. He's in there interviewing Mike and Jake. He asked Mike Tyson, is this it for you? Or do you have another opponent you may have in mind? And Mike Tyson was saying he'd like to do it again and thought, since Logan Paul was standing right there, maybe I fight his brother, motioning to Logan Paul. And so Logan Paul, of course, the microphone goes over to Logan Paul. Logan Paul calls him an MFer and says, I'll kill you. Because Logan Paul, for someone who's had so much media time, is just awkward sometimes and doesn't have presence. And like
I know.
calling a 58-year-old man who just had a great match with your brother, who your brother's trying to talk it up and be the talk about it, what a great experience it was. And here's Logan going, MF, I'll kill you.
And yeah, very no, it was such an awkward delivery of the line.
Yeah.
And to drop the F-bomb, you really are cheating a little bit. You should get way over dropping the F-bomb, and it just sounded really awkward and weird. But the whole event was awkward and weird, and it was just a weird ending, and half the crowd was booing toward the end of the Jake Paul Tyson fight, and I think the overall feel of the fight in general was disappointing, and it was not a very good performance for Netflix or all the people involved, but a lot of people watched it. So yeah, I guess like it just the line fell flat.
Okay, yeah, the line was maybe he needs to workshop those promos more with the wise man Paul Heyman.
Yeah, he's so used to the WWE crowd that's all fired up and ready to go, that he goes to the dead crowd. He's kind of like, oh no, it's not working.
I wonder if he would be the heel in the Mike Tyson fight if they fought.
It's funny. I think most of the people there are there to see Mike Tyson, so they're probably like, who is this? This is his brother, like he's not known by, you probably think most of the people there are used to boxing in the 90s. They're not used to like YouTube. We didn't know who Logan Paul was until pro wrestling.
Yes, I'm an adult. I have no idea who he is.
I have no clue who this guy is.
I'm not 12. I don't, eat prepackaged lunch foods or energy drinks for 12-year-olds. I don't know.
I don't know all the lore.
I
Right?
So, hey, maybe there's another huge payday for Netflix involved. Who knows? But Logan Paul gets a shout out during SmackDown, and he gets a shout out afterwards in the post match interviews of his brother Jake and Mike Tyson. Moving on to someone else who's not currently wrestling. It's The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, named Entertainer of the Year and the first cover celebrity cover star for GQ's Men of the Year 2024. So he's been named Entertainer of the Year. Of course, they put him on the cover. He's got the Christmas movie coming out. He's The Rock. He's on the board of TKO. He's the final boss whenever he wants to get back in the ring. He has his own belt because apparently he's the $1 million man or somebody. He just walks around with his own belt. It's The Rock's world from an entertainment standpoint, and everybody else is just living in it. What say you about The Rock being Entertainer of the Year from GQ?
Yeah, that's weird because I don't know that there's anything outside of WrestleMania that he did.
WrestleMania, the movies, he's still all over the place. He's hugging fans when they come out to see him.
Yeah, he's such a mega celebrity that you probably could just throw him on that and it makes sense.
Sure.
If they're trying to get the first Man of the Year for GQ, which I guess they're doing like Time Magazine used to do that for Man of the Year. Are they also doing their own Man of the Year?
Well, they're doing plural Men of the Year. So they put Dwayne Johnson on the cover there as Entertainer of the Year. I wonder what the other people are. I am not a GQ subscriber. I did not see the edition here at all, but he's the cover guy as Entertainer.
We're not. Yeah, you can see from the sports jackets. We are not GQ guys.
Wow.
Yes. This is Bill Roth's grandfather's jacket. So this is a hand-me-down
sport coat I've had more than half my life.
Right. So yeah, we are not GQ guys, but I will say this. I think what they do with these celebrities sometimes is they just offer it to them, and a lot of times they'll decline it. But there is no award that The Rock will decline. He's like, sure, whatever, I'll make it work. So sometimes they don't really want to be on the cover and have this feature, but yeah, good for you, Rock. Do your thing, man. I think the next award you probably get is President of the United States in 2028. I feel like that's probably going to happen.
You feel like The Rock's running next cycle.
Yes, he's the guy that has been approached, and he's been like very political about everything he talks about. Basically, just saying lots of non-answers. So he feels like 2028 a candidate.
If he's at the convention, does Stone Cold Steve Austin come out there on the mic to nominate him and tell him, DTA Rock, don't trust anybody?
Don't trust anybody. As he runs as a Republican or Democrat, they'll go to the other party,
right?
whatever. We might as well do Austin Rock 2028. I'm not mad at that.
Why not, right? The rattlesnake and the people's champ. Over to somebody who actually does wrestle. It's Cody Rhodes on College Game Day this morning and early afternoon. They caught up with him here. Here he is, Cody Rhodes with the belt. He's also got the Georgia Bulldogs belt there because they were in Georgia for, I guess it was the Tennessee-Georgia game earlier today. There's Cody Rhodes hanging out. They love him there in Georgia. They put him on the big overflowing anchor desk there for the show that now has 7 people on it. Pat McAfee is there in the center. And of course, he brings on his buddy Cody Rhodes, who has the undisputed WWE Universal Championship belt with him. Because, of course, I mean, if you're going someplace, you bring the belt. So there he is, Cody Rhodes, hanging out, having fun. There it is, Tennessee, Georgia, as they're going to do their picks. And there's Cody Rhodes sitting right next to Pat McAfee, so he's getting plenty of screen time. There's Pat McAfee gesturing to Cody Rhodes. It's a lot of fun. Do you like seeing Cody Rhodes get out and do stuff like this?
pretty impressive because he was at SmackDown last night and then
Yep.
at this Georgia thing in the morning. Um, he's perfect for Georgia for the Georgia Bulldogs because he's a Georgia state champ.
Yep.
So that totally makes sense. And yeah, very cool.
Best dressed guy on the dais there.
Well,
Pat
look at
McAfee just looking worse than us, just wearing like he's wearing a fake turtleneck and a jacket that he has also had for more than half his life. He's wearing jeans.
right.
He's wearing jeans and a fake turtleneck, and he's sitting next to Cody Rhodes, who is always Cody Rhodes is like Ric Flair, the way Ric Flair used to dress to the nines.
Yeah. Pat McAfee looks like they're making him wear a suit. So
Yes.
he's like, fine, I'll wear this,
He showed up in a fake turtleneck tank top like Christian Cage wears to wrestle in. And they're like, wear this coat, you look ridiculous.
Right.
Cody Rhodes, fantastic. I love it. What do you say we talk about some cheap heat from a guy who is wrestling and is also talking about wrestling? Jon Moxley gives an interview to the New York Post talking about him being the champion there, the world champion, and his hard reset for AEW. One of the most ambitious things he's attempted. A lot of great photos in this article here from the New York Post. Talking about the whole presentation has been jarringly different and grittier than what fans might be used to in AEW, but Moxley felt it needed to be that way. John, you watch AEW. Do you notice the change? Is it what they're describing here, different and grittier? And do you think it's an improvement or at least a change of pace that was needed to at least try it?
I think it's a brilliant concept.
Okay.
And I like the direction it's headed in. I think just having a definitive champion like this, and specifically this promo you have up on the screen where they were leaving had like a level of realism that was just like eerie and creepy, and yeah, it's got me interested for sure. And I think there's probably they were going a little too far with like taking shots at WWE, which is a little silly. Now it's more like looking at themselves internally, which is good.
Yes. He's talking about he, as in Moxley, said the company may have been so successful that it broke through the dirt quicker than it was able to effectively handle. In less than 4 years, AEW went from 2 hours of live television and 4 pay-per-views with Warner Brother Discovery to 5 hours, 4 of which are live on TV each week, that is, and 9 pay-per-views for this year. So they're expanding. They're getting the deals, they're getting the money, but like as you mentioned in previous cheap heats here on Don't Bury the Lead, subscribe over at YouTube. Check out our archive. Hit us up in the comments in the live chat if you ever catch us live there. There's also a premium join option there. But as you have mentioned in previous Don't Bury the Lead episodes, Tony Khan is in this to try and develop a wrestling company. He's not only put up a lot of his own money, but as he's getting bigger and more lucrative contracts, he's trying to reinvest back in the product. What do you say about AEW's growth? And has it been, do you think they're keeping up with it? And, it's not filler. They're not stretching to fill 5 hours of TV. They're not putting out throwaway pay-per-views. Are they? Or you tell me, yes or no?
Yeah. I don't think it's filler. No.
Good.
But ultimately, there's probably like a few too many pay-per-views. Especially, it's a big ask because Peacock is very cheap, and it's one of those things where you can have a cheap show, and WWE probably does a few too many pay-per-views, but they're at least free. AEW wants you to pony up $50 a show, and they're pretty frequent. As he mentioned, there was 9 pay-per-views a year. It used to be 4. When it was 4, Dynamite felt a lot more impactful. When it was 1 Dynamite, and then every quarter you'd have a pay-per-view. But all the pay-per-views still deliver. It's crazy. They still really deliver. So it's working for them.
Good.
It probably, less is always more, but unfortunately, we live in an age where, you know, they need to get as much screen time as possible to make the money.
As I said, a lot of great photos in here of John Moxley in action, either promos or in the ring. Um, he's a good champ. Then he's a good world heavyweight champ for AEW.
For sure. I'm into it. And interesting write up too.
Yes, mainstream coverage. Like this is the New York Post, with like the second or third oldest newspaper in the country.
Yeah, the New York Post is still pretty over and it's free. So
Right.
I think that's the biggest thing is many of these are paywalled at this point, so you just don't read any of the other papers. So New York Post is at least not paywalled.
This is good for AEW, getting in a mainstream publication like the New York Post that reaches more than pro wrestling fans.
Yeah, and a deep dive and an extensive article, which
Yep.
which isn't just like a recap, if you will.
Yeah, and they build it as an exclusive, so it's them doing their own interviews and their own sit down and information gathering. So, yeah, great job. This speaks well of AEW and where they're going.
Mm-hmm.
Over to WWE. This comes to us from WrestlingInc.com. WWE's Damian Priest reflects on his time in Judgment Day and the silly new version of the group. But there was a good plug in here. Not just obviously he has to call the new group silly because they kicked him and Rhea Ripley out, but he mentioned back to the founding here of when WWE Hall of Famer Edge, known as Adam Copeland in AEW, recruited him to start the group, and what was like when he and Edge originally talked about the Judgment Day. The idea was, look, I want to use you and a few others like you on the stage you belong, on the platform you belong. It was Edge trying to elevate guys, and kudos to Edge. It looks like it worked. Adam Copeland wanted to give other guys a chance to get a rub from him, and it worked. Finn Balor deserved every bit of it. He's a great wrestler, great performer. But the guys who hadn't been in that spotlight, because if Finn had been a world champion at some point, Universal champ, so he had gotten some top card billing and opportunities, but Damian Priest hadn't. Rhea Ripley hadn't either. So Adam Copeland's vision came true. Edge's vision came true here. And great to see that even though Adam Copeland has left for another company, that Damian Priest is willing to talk about him publicly and talk about how much a guy who's now in a rival promotion meant to him. Wonderful. Talking about, I can't thank him enough for taking me under his wing and just simplifying things for me on how to be a bigger star. And of course, there's the great picture of Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley. They've both been gross. And of course, he has to get the shot in for angle purposes. Priest also commented on the newest iteration of Judgment Day, calling them a group of individuals that are trying to get along, claiming that both himself and Ripley, but claiming himself and Rhea Ripley will always be the original essence of the faction. Yeah, the misfits who came together with no other place to call home, who kind of made Judgment Day a home. And we may forget, but for a while last year, maybe a year and a half ago, as the bloodline was breaking down over on SmackDown, Judgment Day was the number one faction in the WWE in 2023. And for a while, like Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley especially, they had their run of the place. So Judgment Day with Damian and Rhea in it, it's beyond what Adam Copeland wanted it to be. It was not only a chance to put some of these guys in the spotlight, but they became so huge that they became the spotlight themselves. That anybody who got in there with Judgment Day, with Damian Priest, with Rhea Ripley, now they were getting the rub from these guys that, Edge was trying to just find a way to get a rub to. So good article there at Wrestling Inc. And again, great that Damian Priest is able to talk about a guy who's now in a rival promotion without, saying, oh, that guy over there, yeah, he tried to do something nice for me. Like, he's flat out mentioning Edge, talking about what a great thing it was for him. Over to 411 Mania. John, you brought this to my attention, that the West Side Gun is promoting a new LP with 14 tracks, including titles like Max Caster and Dr. Britt Baker. And, of course, they had something with Sid Vicious, Sid Justice, depending on where you know him from, Psycho Sid. It's Sid Udy, who passed away recently. And this wound up in a billboard on Times Square down in New York City, somewhere near Times Square. They're saying this is near 48th and 49th on 7th Avenue. You brought this to my attention. What caught your eye about Psycho Sid, Sid Justice, Sid Vicious, and rock and roll?
It's a great album cover. It's that photo is really, it looks really good, and it really sticks out as an advertisement for sure in Times Square like that. Like, it's a nice photograph, which you don't really see like a lot of old nice photographs anymore that like aren't filtered or whatever like that.
It's not taken with somebody's blurry phone as it's shaking around, and then they put cat ears on it and a mustache.
Exactly.
This is professional photography, old-time film. Get the focus right, get the exposure right, get the lighting right in the ring and your angle correct, and just, click, 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 get back to the dark room, look at your film and say, that one.
Yeah, it could
a shot.
It could have been Paul Heyman that did it, right? Because he was a photographer for
Jim Cornette too, right?
Yeah.
Cornette did that as well too at one point.
Before YouTube, everyone was doing this. So,
Yep.
yeah. So I like this a lot. So it piqued my interest, and I could not believe the amount of pro wrestling references. I thought it was just going to be like that was the cover. No, Justin Roberts is on one of the tracks. It reminds me a little bit of like Chicago hip hop. Like Kanye West is probably the most popular, but Common is the other artist. That style from about 20 years ago, he just redid the style. It's a pretty good album. It wasn't too bad. It is a little ridiculous because there were so many pro wrestling references. It's like usually it's like, oh, this is how I make so much money, or this is how I get so many women. And it was like, oh, that's how I get so much money. And then also like this is this reference of this wrestler, like Dr. Britt Baker. That is an obscure pro wrestling reference, right?
Max Caster seems obscure as well.
Max Caster is really ridiculous, and it has one of his raps in the. So he must be very friendly with the guy because he's in one of the songs. So I don't know if AEW found this guy and paid him. Or if it was the other way around, where this guy just loves AEW and was just, hey, I'll make like basically an AEW album.
Why not? And since they're allowing people to use he probably doesn't have to pay licensing fees for the names.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, go for it. Hey, art imitates other art.
Mm-hmm.
We love it. Music and pro wrestling. And you and I are familiar with that, the music and pro wrestling connection. When we were involved in NJCW, New Jersey Championship Wrestling here in Southern New Jersey, that was the big deal. It was guys who knew each other from the indie music scene who got into the indie wrestling scene together. We had many times at the arena shows a live band doing entrance music. Music and pro wrestling, they go together.
Yeah, and to
not
be honest,
just Insane Clown Posse, wondering how magnets exist.
It wasn't just ICP stuff.
Yeah.
No, we would have bands that were good that would play the theme music for us, and it would add an element to the live show. And some of them were really good. Some of them were really tight.
Yeah.
And it's the Mondo Dog Bar, if I'm remembering correctly.
The Mondo Dog Bar, yeah.
Yes. If Francis Carrazzo ever sees this, that one's for you. Mondo Dog Bar.
Yes, and for Fran, who's a great musician in his own right and sound guy, a talented artist, friend of ours, um, uh, front man in the Texas Legs currently. A guitar player in that band is another friend of ours who was a wrestler as well. Steve LaCastro, who was Steve Farley there. So yes, music and wrestling, they go together. So maybe this isn't that far off there that West Side Gun's new LP would have Sid Vicious on the cover. Excellent work there. Good find by you, John. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Back to WrestleZone. Braun Strowman is going to make an appearance on an independent show. His first one since he was briefly out of WWE, I guess in 2022, they said. His last indie appearance, he teamed with Austin Aries and EC3 to take on Dave Dawson, Zane Dawson, and John Schuyler. Now he's going to be appearing at Great Lakes Championship Wrestling Blizzard Brawl in December. In Waukesha, Wisconsin, we were just in Milwaukee for SmackDown. He's going to be the special guest referee for a match featuring Santino Marella and the former Damian Sandow taking on the newest Rockers, which are Al Snow and Cal Harrow. And apparently the newest Rockers, that's Marty Jannetty, I believe, back there in the background in their corner. Al Snow, of course, Santino and the Cobra, and the former Damian Sandow, Aaron Stevens, who currently wrestles in NWA. So there's a lot of guys here. TNA Impact, Santino Marella, NWA bringing over Aaron Stevens, Al Snow, of course, from Ohio Valley Wrestling, and the special guest referee from WWE. So fun stuff. Braun Strowman. Nobody better give him any crap in this row. You know, I doubt there's going to be a wild ref bump in this one where the ref is just going to be knocked out by a simple little thing.
Is he still hurt, or is he on the roster just not wrestling?
That's a good question. I wonder if it's an injury angle or if he's legit injured.
I wonder if he's legit injured because he's only reffing here. And maybe that's why they let him go, because he's probably just sitting around and he probably wants a paycheck. So they're like, yeah, you can go do this.
Yeah, if you want to go do just, don't take any bumps, your doctor's orders.
Yeah.
But get in there, put on the striped tank top and count 1, 2, 3 for somebody.
I'm familiar with Blizzard Brawl because this is where a lot of the WWE guys end up eventually when they get released. They'll do like a show with Blizzard Brawl. So I've heard of this before. And then another fun fact, down there on the left, Al Snow. I turned on our friends from the Nick Wrestling Club, and Al Snow was being interviewed by them.
Oh, the Nick Club Wrestling Happy Hour had Al Snow on. Okay, every now and then they do interviews.
Yeah, so they had Al Snow, and I was like, whoa. I'm going to text him later and be like, yo, you need to make this a video. Give him some YouTube advice. Like, you can't just leave that live stream. You need it to be, you need to cut that up and make as much of that as possible, because Al Snow he was a pretty good interview too. So it was a pretty good thing. I might actually ask him, how did you get Al Snow? Just in case we wanted to do that, right?
Press credentials and all that good stuff. Yeah.
Right.
Very good. One more here. It's also has something to do with the SmackDown we just watched. Another indie show coming to us from WrestleZone here. Friday, December 6th, so that same weekend there. This one, though, in Columbus, Ohio. It's Lita and Trish Stratus. They're reunited for Team Bestie, the 20th anniversary at GalaxyCon in Columbus, Ohio. Date is significant. It is 20 years to the day that Trish and Lita main evented WWE Raw, becoming the first women to compete in the coveted main event spot of Raw. And of course, tonight we had on SmackDown Nia Jax and Naomi in the main event of SmackDown. It was only 20 years ago where this kind of thing was unheard of.
Yeah, that's
crazy.
Where
you put a great women's match because the women could actually perform at that level and give them the main event spot on a live television broadcast in prime time. What do you think of Trish and Lita reuniting to mark this occasion here?
I know Trish Stratus and Lita had some good matches too. So maybe like how we talked about BFAB earlier, they got put in that position and they really delivered. I know some of their matches were considered the best women's matches ever. So they had two people that really could go, and Trish and Lita, and they had good faces and heels. I even remember hearing about the rivalry, although I wasn't watching at the time, and the history of it. So they certainly delivered on being in the the main event there. Kind of crazy to think about that, but it does kind of make sense. They wouldn't have the women were basically eye candy, So before then, they weren't eye candy. It was just Moolah destroying everyone. Fabulous Moolah like stepping on girls' hands for real, and then beating them up for real, and she's just a champ, and it would be like the opener,
Not much of a division.
Oh, it was the Moolah division.
Yeah.
She was like, oh my, Moolah was so great, forever champ like that too, like just the champion for 30 years.
Donning the mask to steal the belt back from Wendy Richter.
Fantastic. Wendy Richter got a little moot. I guess they didn't like the direction she was headed in because she wouldn't drop the belt to anyone, and they're like, well, we'll just steal the belt from her, and we'll put Moolah's old tough ass out there against her to punch her in the face, or no, to like roll her up, pin her for real, and then she just like starts punching her in the face when she's punching her in the face. It's a real fight. If you haven't seen that one, go check that out. Wendy Richter versus Spider Lady or whatever.
That was it. Okay, I'm trying to remember what they called her when they put her under the mask.
She was like the Spider Woman. And it was so obvious it was Moolah because it's like this old lady in a mask,
moving around like Moolah, doing Moolah's moves and everything. Yeah, so wonderful, wonderful reunion there, and a great historic event in wrestling television to note and to mark there. The anniversary of the first women's primetime Raw main event, which many more to them in the 20 years since. So that's all I got, John. It is unfathomably warm. It is pathologically frugal. What is it, John?
It's cheap heat, but there's one more segment I wanted to go through with.
That's right. We've got a special one. Stop the share there. You have a sort of a little run through of some videos here for us to look at and choose our favorite. Play along with us if you are watching either the archive or in the live stream, and leave us your chat or your comment. What do we got here, John?
So the indie wrestling scene is wild right now. It is littered with these knockoff canes. So I have 4 videos of different knockoff canes. And I think, I gave you a preview of them before, but I've got some video of each cane. So this is the OG one here. I'll go ahead and share. So this is the OG. This is Blue Cane. So let's see what he does.
Snow!
Snow has entered the dome! Hell has frozen over!
All right. Blue Cane.
There we have Blue Cane. A great example of just doing the opposite. So it's like he really is like his brother or something like that. So that's one. I'm going to stop sharing, and then I'm going to share on again here. Okay, this one a little bit more raunchy, if you will. This is Cocaine. So let's play the video here.
Cocaine. With the Coke Slam. Alrighty.
So that's cocaine with the Coke Slam. Maybe one of the worst choke slams I've ever seen, but nonetheless, you get the point.
It's like Stone Cold cracking open the Budweisers or whatever beer he drinks, except this time it was just bags of cocaine.
Right. We have 2 more canes to show. So this one is a little bit more kid friendly. It's candy cane.
So this is the female cane, candy cane.
Yeah. This is the female cane. So here we have again. And then, so that one is the female candy cane here. And we're going to have one more. And the one more is Gain, which is gay cane. Let's have a look at this one. This is one of our shorts I use too. I asked for permission to use this, and they were like, "Yeah, sure, go for it." And I said, "All right." So Gay Cane has the pose. That's the best part, obviously.
Gain looks like just the look looks like a cross between 2 of Mick Foley's characters, Mankind and Dude Love.
Yeah, there was a little dude love in there, right?
It looks like Dude Love and Mankind got together and just melded into whatever that was. Gain. So what's your plan here? Are we ranking them in order? Are we just picking a favorite?
Let's do this. We'll go through each one, and maybe you tell me what their ranking is, and maybe we could do
like ranking 1 through 4. Am I doing star ratings or letter grades or number grades?
let's rank them.
Okay.
So let's start with the first one, Blue Cane.
That's in the number 1 position for me, because not only does the guy playing Blue Cane look like he can go, but I like the fact that they were really playing off the original Cane gimmick. The blue instead of the red, the snow instead of the fire, and even the announcers were helping him out there. Hell has frozen over. So I think they seem to have put the most thought into really giving a nod to the original Cane character. And I thought that was well done. I like Blue Cane. I think is number 1 for me.
Yeah. For me, he's my number 2.
Okay.
Blue Cane was definitely fantastic. And he's the original. He's the first knockoff Cane I saw. So I'll give Blue Cane credit because he is the OG of making the Canes. So maybe we can move on now to Cocaine. What's your number ranking for Cocaine?
As much as I like puns, Cocaine is 4 out of the 4. If it's working for you on the indie circuit and you're getting bookings and you're selling merch or whatever, okay, great, more power to you. But of the 4 we saw, Cocaine looked like that one needed to maybe to be workshopped a bit more. Not so much the gimmick, although the gimmick is kind of corny, but just putting a skinny guy in there to do not much of a Coke slam.
The big problem was the wrestling's bad. The Coke slam was, you got to do a better choke slam. So he's also in my 4. It's bad wrestling. It is pretty lowbrow. I don't know if I could really you could really show that to many people and them really enjoy it, right? So I did like that he does the powder.
Yes,
that's more like LeBron James doing the powder. I don't know who else does the powder.
Oh, with the talcum powder before the NBA game. Although he apparently is snorting it.
But then he's snorting it and then does the choke slam. Now, I do have to say this. I like it, but this is a powerful list. I liked all of them. That's why I wanted to do it. This is a powerful list, so
Okay.
it's down at 4 for me.
Like I said, I like the pun, and if he's getting bookings with it, hey, more power to you.
Mm-hmm. Then there's Candy Cane.
Candy Cane. I like that they're found a way to work a female version of Kane into it. I don't know that it's much of a nod to Kane, though.
Right.
I will, though. I will put her in. I'll give Candy Cane the runner-up. I'll
2.
Like you said, it's a strong thing. I'll put Candy Cane at 2.
Look at that. Candy Cane getting 2. I would say, from my perspective, Candy Cane, almost my 1 there for a little bit, almost my 2, but I have my 2 as Blue Cane. The more I looked into it, it's because the other Canes were so good. I'm going to give Candy Cane 3.
Okay.
But I will have to say, the Candy Cane thing is very cute, which I think kids would like, right? And it's Candy Cane. And Candy Cane should be a wrestler. Even if it wasn't associated with Cane, Candy Cane. It's got the alliteration, people like candy.
Sure.
Candy Cane.
Yeah, they could spell it with a K.
Yeah.
Well, I think they did both C's. C, Candy C, Cane C. Although you could do Candy Cane with K's.
Yeah. Even if I guess she could still work as the Cane gimmick. Or what if she just dropped the Cane thing altogether? And she's like, no, I'm just Candy Cane. That would work.
I like it, though. They were trying to do it. They let her do the choke slam.
Mm-hmm. And then, Dom, how about, I guess I know where you have this one. How about
third, and you
Gain?
have it for Gain. Yeah. The guy playing Gain looked like, again, he looked like he could go in the ring.
Yeah.
Again, we did get to see a little bit of him in the ring. So that works. Like, using homosexuality to get a cheap pop, I'm not into.
Yes.
Like, this isn't the 80s. So I'm not into that. I have no problem with the gay character. It's like when they would play up Paul Heyman a little too much that he's Jewish.
Yeah.
Like, every time he would do something, underhanded and squirrely, like, for some reason they would play up that he's Jewish. It's like, you don't have to go there. So I don't like using ethnicity or sexuality as a cheap pop.
So,
but the guy looks like he can wrestle.
I think that was Blue Cane wrestling as Gain, and he did this one time only, because they had a show called Big Gay Al's show or something like that. Big Gay Mike's wrestling show. So he showed up as a gay Cane for the gay wrestling show.
Okay, so there was at least a reason for it.
There was a reason, right? That's not going to be his forever gimmick. So Blue Cane at one point did the gay Cane. Gain.
Okay.
And also calling him the Big Gay Machine is fantastic. The Big Gay Machine. But I had him as 1. Specifically, just the way that video is cut up is so perfect with the "I'm coming out."
Yeah.
And then he his pose to the camera when he's and he poses. I was rolling, laughing.
It looks like Pretty Deadly.
Yeah. So that's my number 1.
Metrosexual thing.
That's my number 1. I'm glad we did this exercise here, Dom. I think this is really important for people to understand where we stand on this.
Absolutely.
Coming out of an election, coming out of a terrible Jake Paul Tyson fight, I'm hoping people will watch this and be like, okay, this is what we really need to talk about. What Cane is good?
We hit the important stories.
This is true.
No, that's all we got for Cheap Heat. If you think we missed anything that you wanted us to get to, Let us know in the chat. Let us know in the comments if you disagree with any of our takes here or agree with any of our takes. Chime in. Let us know in the live chat. Let us know in the comments. Wherever you are watching us live, if it's on Twitter, if it's on Twitter X, if it's on Twitch, if it's on YouTube, thank you very much. Just know that the archive of stuff, the mother load of our content, our home base is over at Don't Bury the Lead, a wrestling channel on YouTube. Subscribe over there. There's both subscribe and join options for premium members and some perks involved there. And of course, at the YouTube, you have all of our archived live streams, also the edited video clips, John, that you make, and the shorts, the under 60-second vertical ones that you also put together. So you're a busy man, John. You put together a lot of stuff off of these live streams that we do.
Yeah. You can see that the total number of videos is increased, but really, like, most of the videos are pretty easy for me. I just cut the video of the Cheap Heat, post it. I cut the SmackDown, I post that. The shorts
That works.
for YouTube folks at home, once you have an edited video, you could just make them from your phone. The shorts, you just like select that and then pump it to the internet. The shorts, I don't understand. I don't know why people watch them, but boy, oh boy, do they watch our shorts. I'm
They
talking.
watch the shorts from Don't Bury the Lead because they can't get enough of us, John.
They just can't get enough. They're like, you know what? They're doing something. They're subscribed. They see it comes up, and they're like, "Bang! I got to see what they're saying."
Got to see what they're doing. It's like cocaine.
Right.
We are coke slamming people with under 60-second bits of content.
I'll have to ask this guy permission because I haven't yet. The cocaine guy, if I can use his video, I'm sure he'll love it. But
hey, it's. I like the pun, and maybe needs a little work on the in-ring stuff. But
the in-ring thing was killer.
The creativity is there. The pun is there. Go for it. I mean, you're kind of making fun of Steve Austin as well with the beer swilling stuff. You're just snorting all the coke, but go for it.
It's just it's gonna be tough for any crowd, most crowds, I would say.
Right.
We've wrestled indie shows. If we had a gimmick like that, we probably would say no, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure that would have been the case. You can
We
drink
did
beer,
wing eating contests and beer drinking contests, but coke snorting contests or having cocaine play a key role in your finisher, probably not.
that would be too dark.
Right.
We're doing hard drugs in the ring. Yeah, that's too dark. Too dark.
I mean, the Bonsall Street Bomber walking out to the ring, smoking a cigarette and handing it to a little kid.
I guess we were doing it.
That may have been the kind of the limit for us.
That was the max, absolutely.
That was
when
it
I
right there.
smoked the cigarette and then would hand it to a child. Yeah, that's probably a little much. The thing was, I always wanted to allude at certain points that I was on drugs. But, I can't go out there like tying off or something like that. So, when I would hit rock bottom, I was like, oh, what if I take people would always recommend like, yeah, you should go like crazy or you should be like doing other stuff. I'm like, I can't do that. There's kids there. I can't tie off. It's like a lot of it was alluding to drug use, but I could only show the alcohol because it was like the most reasonable.
Sure, yeah.
But other stuff was obviously mixed in there, right? You would at least hope that.
It worked for what it was. Or it could have just worked only as a guy who was a beer swilling guy from Kensington in Philadelphia.
Right. There was a Always Sunny in Philadelphia episode, and Charlie, he starts huffing paint, like spray paint during the show, and like he makes all this music, and they're like, "Oh, you got to keep huffing the paint because the music's good." So that's like as close as to actually doing it. I'm like, "Oh, I should do like a huffing the paint bit," but then I just didn't do it.
Well, but also the Bonsall Street Bombers gimmick was that, these outside substances were harming him. It was
Yes.
only under the tutelage and discipline of Diamond Earl Scruggs that the Bonsall Street Bomber was able to reach his potential as NJCW singles champion.
Yeah. Like when I started to win, I stopped coming out with a beer. Because sometimes I would come out, when I was bad, I'd come out with the beer. Like,
Mm.
then it was just a cigarette. So, you're not going to lose with just a cigarette. You're a scumbag, but that won't make you lose. And, yeah, that's an interesting point. I can remember, once I got under his tutelage, he controlled my wild substance abuse problem.
Yeah. It's like any other addiction that people have. They say that it's good social connections are what bring you out of it. And Diamond Earl Scruggs was that for the Bonsall Street Bomber.
Yes, until he kicked him out of his group.
Until he started losing too much, so he got booted to the curb by the Diamond Stable.
Yeah, that was great. And then I was down in the dumps all the time.
Well, obviously, I mean, you had lost your connection, your social fabric there.
Mm-hmm. I lost my social fabric. That could have been a good heel turn or face turn. What could have been?
Right.
But yeah. So that's NJCW for anybody that's still watching. We have a person in YouTube, person in Twitch. Anything you guys want to talk about? Let us know.
Yeah, we've got some active people there on the live stream. So let us know what you like. Do you think War Games is taking shape, both on the men's and the women's side? Are there other matches you want to see fill out that card?
These are old messages, but I just want to show the
Tamatanga,
folks.
very good. Yes, Tamatanga joined us earlier. And I think he was kidding when he gave us that OTC chant there.
Yes. Hello, he said, hand waving.
Yes.
Yes, we had Tamatanga on earlier. So we've had two wrestlers. We've had Triple H, the man with three H's.
With three H's, yes.
And Tamatanga.
And not only that, but the man with three H's, he's a high-ranking executive.
Oh, yes. Yes.
So if you are watching the show, and I say if with a wink there, if you're watching our show, man with three H's,
mm-hmm.
What do you think of some of our ideas? Just go run with them if you want. You can have them. Just remember your friends that don't bury the lead when it comes time to pass around some of the credit there.
Yeah.
So very good. I wonder how Cody Rhodes wound up on how he fared today on College Game Day over on ESPN with his friend Pat McAfee. I did not catch any of the scores. I was busy all afternoon. I did not catch Tennessee, Georgia. So I wonder how that went and if Cody Rhodes was pleased with the outcome being a Georgia Bulldogs fan.
Oh, man. Last night I stayed up too late because I watched that stupid show.
You watched the Jake Paul, Mike Tyson Netflix boxing match?
While I was watching it, I was sitting here. I was like, this is a new low for me. Like, this is late. I don't like this. I don't care. Tyson's in the ring, and he could barely stand. Like, he couldn't move his feet around. He could barely stand.
The quickness left him with the feet and the agility.
And Jake is punching him, running around in a circle, punching him, running around in a circle, punching him like jabs. And they were just sparring with each other, and Jake wouldn't knock him out. And it's like, yeah, this shouldn't have happened. And I do think there's a place for this because Tyson fought Roy Jones Jr. a few years ago in an exhibition of sparring.
Tyson and Roy Jones Jr., really?
Yeah. And it was an exhibition sparring. And that was the style. And people get to see the people that they grew up with, and they just spar back and forth. But they did this for the fight, but it was a sanctioned fight. So nobody was going hard. It was just
okay.
And even the last round, like Tyson never unloaded and tried to knock him out, He just stayed in his shell. Just stayed back. So I think it was staged. I think it was pretty
No
much.
belts on the line, no titles on the line. Nobody's moving up or down the rankings really from this.
Mm,
It was just a 27-year-old and a 58-year-old.
yes. And if I'm not mistaken, let's look up.
What do you got there for us? It looks like something's happening there on your end. What do you got for us? What are you bringing up?
Is it showing my screen?
Not yet.
Oh, I'm looking up their weight.
Okay. Now, Jake Paul did not look like he was all that tall. Logan looks like he's maybe a slightly bit taller of the two brothers.
Oh, they're the same
Jake
weight.
has appeared in WWE before. Crown Jewel 2022, when Logan Paul was the main event against Roman Reigns in Saudi Arabia. I think Jake Paul came out for that.
Mm-hmm. No, Jake Paul was there.
And of course, Mike Tyson was involved in WrestleMania, in the WrestleMania that turned the Monday Night Wars.
Mm-hmm.
So both of those guys have connections to wrestling.
We've had some people hopping on here during our Italian goodbye. What did you guys think of SmackDown last night? Anything, and how do you think War Games is shaping up at this point? Very curious to hear what you think. We were talking about War Games earlier. We're doing the Italian goodbye here, so that's when we start to say goodbye. But we'll keep talking and talking and talking about whatever. So tell us in the chat, what do you think about how War Games is, stacking up, and what you think about SmackDown last night?
Yeah. And also tell us, what do you think of the WWE alumni, Mike Tyson and Jake Paul, in their fight last night? Was it worth it to you? If you stuck around after SmackDown and hopped over to Netflix, was it worth it to you to watch that main event there? The man who won the Monday Night Wars for WWF, Mike Tyson.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Involved in that WrestleMania with Stone Cold Steve Austin and Shawn Michaels.
Mm-hmm.
And Jake Paul, who got briefly involved in the Logan Paul title fight against Roman Reigns a couple of years ago. So, yeah, a couple of alumni there.
And I'll tell you what, Dom, we're up to 905 subscribers.
Excellent.
So I know one person's been on for the whole time, so go ahead and subscribe. It's really helpful for us. Be really appreciated. Somebody just hopped on. If you want to subscribe, it helps our channel out a lot.
Yeah, we're almost, find us on YouTube.
Our big next goal is 1,000 subscribers.
Aha, yes. Want to hit the figure 4, right? 4 figures. We want to hit 1,000.
That will be
1K.
The biggest, by far our biggest accomplishment, because I can then click monetize once I hit the 1,000 subscribers.
And we'll have to add another ring to the glasses that said 100.
Right? Just have oh, also that night we are drinking the Ric Flair whiskey bourbon.
Okay, have you ordered the woo-ski yet?
No, but I've seen it's available online, and the one shop looks shady, so I didn't buy it. But maybe I'll call around to there's liquor stores around me that have huge collections, so maybe I'll call around and see if it's available.
Yeah, ask for it in your favorite liquor store. See if they'll start carrying woo-ski, the Nature Boys whiskey.
They're going to be so angry when they get a big thing of it and I buy 2 bottles and never go back because I don't really drink that much, and it just sits there because nobody wants it.
Oh, there's got to be other Ric Flair fans in Southern New Jersey.
Yeah, we just had WrestleMania. You're telling me people aren't going to be drinking Ric Flair's bourbon? And hey, I got some news for you. After this show, I will be releasing a video on Monday, and that video includes the Ric Flair, our back and forth about Ric Flair and his bourbon.
All right, very good. Look forward to that. Everybody watching us online, especially head on over to YouTube and look for that. Subscribe so that you get the alerts when John puts out this great new content that we build off of our live streams, and occasionally special content that is brand new stuff not on the live stream. We've got a few of those too.
Well, I don't know about you, but I think it's time.
It's time for the real goodbye.
It's time for the real goodbye. So, hey, thanks everyone for listening in. We had some folks on Twitch. We had some folks on YouTube. We had Tama Tonga, a pro wrestler, which is amazing. And in case you think I'm making that up, here he is. So,
There he was.
there he was.
Tama-Tonga.
Yeah, so Tama Tonga was here. That was great. Not the biggest star we've had. We've had Triple H in the past, so
Yeah, well,
but
yeah.
it was still pretty cool to have Tama Tonga.
Yeah, anytime, Tama, anytime you are welcome here, and don't bury the lead land.
Yeah. So thanks so much for joining. Really appreciate it. Look for the coming week here. We're gonna have a lot of stuff coming out with the Ric Flair video, the wrap up of GP, and then another one is gonna be wrap up of SmackDown. And I'm
There
going
you
to try to
go.
get one more video out as well. So
Okay.
thanks so much.
Tama-Tonga, the greatest, most prestigious active wrestler we've had here on Don't Bury the Lead.
Yes, best
So
active wrestler.
You win. You get the prize there, Tama-Tonga. Thank you very much for joining.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we'll have to see if somebody else comes in. If it's boy, if it's Grayson Waller, I'm going to say Tama Tonga is better than Grayson Waller.
Okay.
But if it's like The Rock, sorry, Tama Tonga, you would no longer be the greatest. But Dom, thanks so much for joining. I really appreciate it. Thanks for you guys out there. If you are, again, check out the channel. Check out some of the videos we've been putting out lately and subscribe. It helps out our channel a lot. And have a great rest of your evening.